All right. So live with Michelle, our first hot seat guest. All right. So share on your timeline, public, go live. All right. So this is the fun part where we not totally know if we're live, but we feel like we're live. So I think we are.
Yep, it gave me a thing.
Good. Okay. So as soon as this pulls up and I can officially see it, but let's just assume. So hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is Mimosa Hotline Talk Show, and we are so excited to be here with you. My name is Ashley Rhoda. I'm your brand strategist, and here with me is Ronnie Bartles, who is your business strategist, and our first ever super exciting hot seat guest, Michelle Williams, and her business. So we are super excited about this because we literally announced this 2 weeks ago. We did our first episode. We were saying we'd love people to join us, and Michelle, within 5 hours of going live, was like, I want in. So we're so excited to have you. And a little bit of behind the scenes, just so everybody knows, we were just chatting. We want to be very clear about how this is going to happen today. We're going to spend about 20 minutes just giving our advice, experience, expertise to Michelle and the things that she's going through right now. There are no stupid questions here in this room, in the chat, anywhere. I'm not into that type of mentality where you have to script the perfect question for things. Like, if you got to talk it out to figure it out, that's fine too.
Yep.
Okay. So, Ronnie, do you want to say anything really fast for today?
I mean, I didn't necessarily have anything to say really fast before today.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
I mean,
Michelle, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? Give us context, just your name, your business, what you do, how long you've been in business, just a little zhuzh of everything.
Well, I am brand new at business. I'm excited. So in November, I decided I was going to jump in and start training people and coaching people. I'll tell you a little bit about that as soon as I get going. Started my LLC, got that confirmed about 2 months ago. So I am brand new and I need your help because I have no idea what I'm doing. So this is a little bit about me. I do GIS, and that's Geographic Information Systems. So I do mapping all day long. I make apps for inspectors to go into the field and collect data, take pictures. They push that up to the cloud. And then I get to see it and I can analyze that. So I've been doing this for 6 years and I love spreadsheets. I love live data. I can build a map, static map if you want me to. I'm not going to like it. I love live data. So what I do now is I train GIS superheroes to level up their career so they can live the life that they want without hitting all those pitfalls of doing it alone. So I have a short-term and a long-term program. I build skills in mindset, leadership, and technology. Did that give you enough information?
Yes. And I just want to, for 2 months in, anyone that knows business, that was so good. Bravo.
and I want to be like girl after my own heart with all the data. And spreadsheets. Oh my God. Yes. I want to see sexy spreadsheets, please.
Yes, I love sexy spreadsheets.
You were in the right room for girls that love data. Let's just all of us out there that love some good data and some data entry and organizing data. Whew, yum. Yes. We may even have to introduce her to Airtable. I don't know. Are you familiar, Michelle, with Airtable?
I am not.
Okay, so maybe something, we don't even know if this is a thing for you, but something that's changed our lives is called Airtable, Airtable. And because of what you just said, and maybe you don't know all of these yet, but it's like Asana, Trello, and an Excel sheet all came together and had a baby. Now, if you don't know any of those, I'm going to over-explain things today, not assuming that you're silly or don't know these things, but just for anyone that's new. Asana is one of these popular project management systems. There's Monday.com. There's all different versions of it, but a lot of people are you're kind of like Team Asana. I don't know what it is, but it's like a sports team, basically. Yeah. I'm not. We don't do Team Asana, but Hakuna Matata if you want it.
Right.
Trello is an interesting software that is data entry that you can kind of sort in different views, where it can be something called Kanban, where it looks like cards in lists. And you can make boards, and it originally came out for kind of project planning, I think.
Not my
I think
favorite
that's-
either.
Yeah. What's going to happen is you're going to grow out of it. So
Yeah.
you might get into it, loving it, but I'd rather
Yeah.
save you the like growing pains and just get you straight into Airtable.
Yep.
Now, Excel, like the back of your hand. So
Mhm.
what's nice is Airtable is all three of those put together in a
Mhm.
way that you can sort your data, organize your data, have different views, share it with teams, add comments. You can create so many things. For myself personally, I use it for project management, my CRM or client relation manager. I use it for all of my client projects. So each project has its own boards. I use it for the form for this call that we did. Literally everything in my life is in Airtable.
Nice.
And it backs up to the cloud, which I also heard that you like cloud things. So
I do.
cloudy cloud.
Team cloud.
Team cloud. So I love that. Okay. So Ronnie, what stood out to you in kind of what she shared?
So I think the first thing that stood out to me is the industry jargon. So while it is a very, very specific industry and you're going to have that because these people speak that language, at the end of the day, we all still have to assume, because we're so bombarded with information from everywhere, like Facebook and Instagram, like we're all on a gazillion million different things. And so we're so bombarded with information, our brains can't necessarily process fast enough. And so using a lot of industry jargon, even if it is in your industry, it just doesn't even register in people's brains because they just can't think that fast. So I think that was the thing that stood out to me the most to start with, is it was a lot of industry jargon that I was like, I sort of get this. I mean, I get what you do, the way you explained it, but then I was like, it's highly niched, which is another thing that I really like, because the money's in the niche for sure. So that part is good of being highly niched in that regard. But kind of like toning down the industry jargon and just pretending like everybody is on a 5th grade reading level.
I'm only smirking because I mean, Michelle, can you not attest that before we all got on, I was literally like, you're going to need to be very mindful of jargon. Literally, like, yes. I love this. Michelle has no idea how similar and on the same page we are, but that was like literally echoing. It was amazing. So yeah. You said it, but yes, now you've heard it twice, Michelle. So now you can definitely take note of that.
Well, and I'm going to say, I'm just as guilty as anybody else. Like,
same.
I mean, it's really hard. It's really hard to do, to kind of like really tone yourself down when you're talking about things like that, particularly when it's highly specialized in that regard. But it is just something to be really mindful of. And it's easier when you're like talking to us about it, because we can like get your expression and we can ask questions and explain. But it really is important when you get to your website and your website content and your marketing content that people are seeing, not necessarily hearing.
One thing that I've recently done that literally one of my coaches called me out for this exact thing. So when I say you're in a group of friends here, you're in a group of friends here. But what I actually had was one of my assistants. He is not in my industry at all. So I've been having, I got called out for my newsletters being too jargony. And so I actually have him read them before I send them out and just say like, was there a word? Did I say anything that I could better explain, or was there a part? So have someone not in your industry, but maybe on your team that could read through the words. I almost did it. The copy. I don't know if you know this, but we call words on the website copy. So that they can read over anything that you're going to be producing and just say like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that means. And that's just good for you to start building up this like awareness of vocabulary or phrasing or tools or technology that you use. Like you're going to hate me, but some people may not even know what data is. Seriously. It's kind of wild. So it's like that level that you're just like, oh my God, but write what you want to write and then have somebody, review it and see where it needs to be. But we want to hear you. You are the expert to be showcased. It's just, that's where it's going to be a thing. I was also sharing that you're going to have to be very mindful of this with your team, the person that works on the website, the person that works on the graphics, the person that works on your marketing in any element. you're going to have to kind of speak them or teach them your version of French, right?
Right.
So it's a thing. I love that. So I was kind of telling her kind of the difference between marketing and branding when behind the scenes. And she's like, Ashley, I don't know. I'm 2 months in and I need to know it all, but I don't know where to start. So just out of maybe a fun segue into something, Ronnie, what do you think are some of those maybe you wish you had known when you first started, or things that you share with people that are just launching, top of mind things that maybe from a marketing perspective, you'd like to secretly shake the newbies with? Yeah, go for it.
I think that we go into businesses. I can say this from experience. I also was this way. Granted, it's been almost 15 years for me now, but you go in with all of these ideas of what you want to do and how you want to help people and how you want to make money. And you go in and you don't say no to anything when you really should be. I mean, I have been in the probably first 3 years of my business, I did marketing and bookkeeping and IT and office organization. I shouldn't do all of those things. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it was just, how do I make money? And you do all of those things. So I think it's really honing in on exactly what you do and being very clear about that is the first thing I like to tell new people, because they're wanting to like do it all. The other thing I always get with new people, and I actually get this with even seasoned people quite a bit, when I ask them, who is your target audience? And they get very enthusiastic and they're like, everybody. And I'm like, it's really sweet. And I really love that you want to help everybody, but I can't help you with everybody. Because if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. And so really honing in on like who you actually serve and like, what do you know about them? Very detailed, like down to their psychographics of like, how do they think? Where are their eyeballs? How do they, consume news? How do they consume any piece of content, and understanding them inside and out? I think that gives you a really a leap ahead knowing those people, because by knowing them, you're cutting your time in half for a lot of things you're going to experiment with, because marketing is nothing but an experiment, right? Like it's not complicated, and it's complicated at the same time, right? Because there's so many things we can do, and you have all of these avenues to market on, and you're gonna try them all because you have to figure out what works and what doesn't. But if you know who your customer is, you can make that learning curve that much shorter. That's kind of like the big thing for me, is like knowing exactly who your customer is and being very clear on what you provide them.
And the saying no thing, I just want to reiterate that.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's this theory of like, isn't there a book like Say Yes to Everything for a Year or something? Like there is a culture of say yes to everything.
Right.
And there's also a culture of like, don't share your values and like, don't talk politics and all these things on there. But all of those things actually help you niche down. And what Ronnie was saying is that maybe you've heard this or maybe you haven't heard this yet, but there's money in the niche, and that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. Do you have any questions, Michelle, based on what she said?
No, I do have a target market, and lately I've been trying to dial it into who I want that to be. So I love this avenue of talking.
Also, even if you don't, even if you think you know it right now, what's really going to help you is in the next year, you need to kind of give yourself permission to be a learning leader. You know what you are, you know what you do, but like to learn business, it's going to take you time. It's probably a whole nother 4-year degree, just to be honest, not to scare you, but to be honest with you. And I think you're going to learn best by the bad ones. I totally am going to be honest with you. You're going to say yes to some clients that you think are great, and they're going to just,
and you're going to
no way around it.
Nope. And you're going to discount your rate because you want to get them, because you need the money. And then they're going to be the ones that are the most work.
Yeah.
The people that ask. Yeah. The people that ask for a discount are going to be the most work.
Don't do it. Yeah. Wait, hold out if you can, or like if there's a middle ground of your prices where people are asking for this, but you've said that, like, then adjust maybe there, but even that, and just so you know, it's coming. Like, we can't save you from it. It's just the best learning experience you're ever going to get. And cat moment. Cats
Real
in the
life.
blinds are a little loud, excuse me. But moment like that, like, unless it's real life learning experience that, like, you, no matter what you sketch, no matter how much you pay a coach or how many times you outline your bloody client avatar, it doesn't matter until you go book. Honestly, you'll know it in your first 10 clients. It's going to be very obvious. I'm sorry for the stretch marks. We should give you a bottle of wine now, and just warn anyone near you, friends, family, whatever, that you are about to just unleash the bitching of all things, because it's rough. But the good news is, once you've seen that, then you have such a clear picture of what you don't want, that you only allow in the good. And another version of this is, not all money is good money. Just to say that.
I mean, we've all done it. We'll still do it. I mean, we still get bamboozled by people that are like, talk a big game, and then all of a sudden you get into it and you're like, crap, this is a lot of work and not a lot of money.
You know, you just said that, and I don't know why it made me think of this. Bartering.
Oh.
So do you see our pain for you? We're like, just don't do this. Bartering is this really interesting thing, because in the beginning of business, I'm making an assumption, excuse me if I'm wrong in this, but it's true for all of us. So I'm going to assume it's true for you. We don't have a lot of money yet in the business. So we need to kind of trade with friends to get certain things done, and like all the things. And you think like, oh, well, I paid my brother's son's cousin to build my website, and then I paid my, old colleague to do my marketing thing. Here's the problem. You're going to end up spending twice, triple, quadruple to get all these wrong variations, till then you finally have money to invest in the right thing. It's kind of like clothing in a way. We go to TJ Maxx to buy a cheap t-shirt that we wear maybe 10 times, versus if we go over to Nordstrom's and we get that expensive Michael Kors shirt that we have for a lifetime and we love it, and it's the first thing we pack when we're going to a conference. I'm just saying, if I had done it again, I would have held out, saved up the money, figured it out, had the side hustle longer, whatever, and then invested in the just a little bit higher price point. And when it is higher price point, you can ask for, other clients that they've worked with, just to proof of work and stuff, and really vet them. But when you first set it up, it's just kind of piecemealed. It's kind of like, well, I needed a logo, I needed a website, I needed this, I did that. And so it's interesting.
I have two thoughts on that, actually.
Please,
So going back to bartering is one of those things, everybody's going to ask you to do it. Everybody. And they're going to sell you on it with, this is great exposure for you. It's always what they say. And it took me a long time to finally look at them and go, I barter 100%. I barter for cash. I mean, that's basically what you're doing anyway, but it's just one of those things. You kind of have to do it a couple of times and get burned on it before you really learn the lesson. But I have never been a barter situation that it actually worked out. I've always ended up spending more time than they did or whatever. My second piece to that is, Ashley mentioned saving up to actually pay a higher price point for certain assets or services or things that you need. Particularly, and I think in a lot of things business, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. And from the other side of that, for you, in your pricing, because we always undervalue our pricing. This is something I know when Ashley and I even first started having these calls, we talked a lot about, for her and for me, but for her particularly, is pricing is perception. Pricing is a marketing strategy, and pricing is perception. So if you think about it, a diamond at Tiffany's is the same diamond as at Zales. You pay a lot more for one at Tiffany's because of the price. Like, your perception of them and their brand is luxury because of what they charge. It's still the same diamond as Zales. So thinking about that as far as your business and how you want to price your services, do you want to be the Tiffany of your industry because you're worth it? Or do you want to be the Walmart of your industry because it's a volume game? So, and that's a strategy. There's nothing wrong with either one. Both are good. We need them both in how we do business, but it is a very specific strategy to think about when it comes to pricing. And again, pricing is perception. Like if you think about it, every time you land on, say, one of these online courses and they have, or even software is really good about this. They have this, the freemium tiers, you got your free one, your middle ground, and then your high end. 9 times out of 10, everybody's going to go the middle ground. So you price that at your best, ROI, because that's what everybody's going to buy, because they're like, I'm not completely cheap, but I'm also not quite at this luxury level either. So pricing is perception, and it is a marketing strategy at the end of the day.
I still think that that's one of my favorite things I've ever learned from you, probably because it was so obvious and I didn't even realize that I was making myself look cheap and attracting cheap. So remember when I said, like, a lot of the people that start out, there's no money, they don't do anything. Well, that's one thing. The other thing is just that the people that, humbly, in my opinion, when I put my results up to what others are creating and producing as their results, the tier that I was at was like 3 times. It is even more than what I charge right now. It's way higher. And this cat, I'm gonna be right back, y'all.
See, this is just how business goes. Like, these are the behind the scenes things that happen that I think people don't see. We see all of these business gurus out there. We follow all of them, and they show us the perfect image, the perfect brand, the perfect everything. And you're like, I want that. And this is really what it's like.
Yes. By the way, Dragon really likes you. He doesn't come on for all businesses.
He doesn't do this for me.
So I just want you to know you have the approval of Dragon.
My computer is a Dragon computer, so we probably feel each other.
That's it. We are done here. We are done. Yes.
That's it.
My apology. Usually he understands what a Zoom is, but not today. So yes, and the behind the scenes, all the things. But the price perception, basically going back to that, it does matter. And you're going to see the other things that I've seen in from a branding perspective is that the price, same as the image, will attract a certain audience. So random example of this, I was working with a CFO actually, and her brand colors were like baby blue, baby green, like those baby blankets we see. She got a lot of younger professional needy male boy clients. And we changed it. Now, Ronnie, make sure I say this right. Out of the red into the black, is that right for accounting? You want to get out of the black into the red?
No.
The other way around?
In the black. Yeah.
You want to get out of out of that into the black. So we changed her branding to be the gradient of that. And as soon as we did, we got a lot of decisive, more established business owners for her clientele, and it was another price perception thing, just with color perception. Wow. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's an iconic detail that you really have to like strategically think about.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Exactly.
Shameless plug right there.
There's a reason I named it this, people. Like, there really is. So any other questions? Not other questions, but any questions coming top of mind for you, Michelle?
I'm eating it all up. I'm loving this whole thing because my brain has space for you. So
good.
Thank you.
So I guess I'll ask you a question to kind of just get some idea. So what are some of you've been in business now 2 months officially. Like, what are your next steps? Like, what's your plan?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. So next week is the Esri conference in San Diego, and they usually have 60 to 80,000 people there. Their numbers are lower this year because you have to have the COVID vaccines before you can get there.
Sure.
I don't know what that's going to be, but I have a Jedi robe that I'm wearing. I have business cards that are bigger than a business card.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Toblerone candies because Tobler's law is the first law of geography. Things that are near to each other are more similar than things that are further away. And
Okay.
that's kind of where I'm at. Next week is where it all begins.
Okay.
And so my idea is hopefully that's when the business takes off.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Yep. So what are you selling them?
Coaching. And
Okay.
so I have some coaching programs, but I also do a 12-hour training for people who just want to learn technology.
Okay. All right. Ashley, go ahead.
I want to know the symbolism of the Jedi. Like, how does that work? And like the candy made sense, but where does the Jedi come in from?
I love the Jedi. I love Star Wars. So Star Wars has younglings. When you're a Jedi, you start as a youngling. Then you go into Padawan. Then you go into the Jedi status. Jedis teach other people. So in my vocabulary, I use younglings, Padawans, gurus, because gurus do not train. They just do everything. And then the Jedi. So that's where that all came from.
Okay.
And if you look at my LinkedIn account, it actually has my steps as I went through different
Awesome.
corporations. So it shows my history.
You know, these might be quirky details, but your original question to us was like, how can I be iconic? You're doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like ace. And I don't say that often. So hi, Diana Sabatino. Good to see you. Sorry, we have our first comment over here on Facebook land. So I just had to shout that out, but hi. So yeah, I love your consciousness to symbolism. I don't know if that's because maybe you're a map maker and like you understand the power of the key.
Maybe.
But like, it's interesting because usually when I speak to people like you that are just starting out, there's an intention of being meaningful and having depth and dimension, but you really do. You have like a whole vault of symbolism that I love. So you're leveraging it all correctly.
Thank you so much. I'm enjoying it. I really am. I'm going to definitely have to tell you how this all works out next week.
Yeah, I definitely want to report on how it all goes. Yeah.
I love it. One thing, as a newbie going to a conference, I taught this to my other bestie, shout out Leilani. This girl, so cute. We met at the eWomen Network conference and she came back and she's like, I gave out all my cards. And I was like, well, that's great. Who are you going to call when you get home? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, let's do this again. And I said, the goal of a conference is not to give out your card, it's to get cards. So I want you to play the reverse card game. If somebody asks for the brilliantly designed, because I've seen it and you can showcase it, like if you'd like to right now, the card that you're going to be handing out, it's genius. Like, I really like this thing. Go ahead.
So that's the front. And it's, I don't know if you can see it, but it says GIS consulting, coaching and training, survey 123 Jedi Empire.
Okay.
And then I had some artwork completed, and on the front it has Tobler's Law, and on the back all it has is my LinkedIn account, and then it has more artwork and who my profits are going to this year.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. So give those out because those are going to be iconic. People are going to be like, hey, did you meet the Jedi girl? I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be denoted to. I'm sorry, but that's going to be it. Did you meet the Jedi girl? Because I'm pretty sure this is going to be a primarily male dominated industry. So you're already rocking it being a female there, but that's going to be the thing. Then I want you to focus more on collecting the cards and making notes on them or a way to note them. So, you know, you might come back with 100 business cards and you're like, who's Sally so-so? What did she want from me? So there's a couple of things I do, and I'm going to out myself. Because I'm about to go to this conference again. So people are going to know a couple of tricks. If you're on the go, I pick a pocket for yes and a pocket for no. You're going to meet people that you're like, no. And then you're going to meet people like, yes. And so pocket, or you can do different things. You could tear the corner. You could do whatever you want to specify your no's. That way, when you get up to your hotel room, take away all the no's. Don't worry about them. Now you just have the yeses. And at the end of every night, you must promise, like Jedi promise. I don't know how you Jedi promise, but okay. And write on the card or in a journal their name and what they said to you or what you talked about or what you're following up with, because you are going to be learning, you're going to be meeting people, you don't have time. So then when you get home, you've got a journal or whatever, phone note, I don't care how you do this, or voice note of the person, what you spoke about, and then you send the emails. You will never, I mean, Ronnie, how many times, I've been in business 8 years, I think you're at 15, right? How many times has somebody actually followed up with you?
I mean, I can probably count on one hand.
Me too. It's pathetic. So you're going to be the one that reaches out. Hey, Sally So-so, it was so great to meet you at this conference. It was lovely discussing this. You mentioned you're interested in this. Here's my link. I'd love to talk to you about that. Or as our coach would also say, don't send just the link, be a little bit more human and send the, hey, would you have time next week? I'd love to connect with you. And then buffer your top 5 for the next week and then next 5 for the next week, and give yourself some time to do all of the calls and all of the follow-up. Conferences, a lot of people think the game is how many cards can I give out and how many people can I do? You're not a confetti machine or a money thrower, like da, 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 da. That's not the game here. The game is to collect and sort in your little pockets. I secretly do it also in my purse. You know how there's 2 little pockets in your purse, a yes and a no pocket, however you want to do it. But that's a huge conference tip I would definitely share with you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good one. You're going to a conference of like 60,000 people, like, you know, and to be honest, when you give out cards, they're not going to follow up with you anyway. I mean, we just said I can count on one hand in 15 years how many people actually followed up. And then it's the art of the follow-up, because I've even had it where I've met people out networking or conferences or whatever, and then they go to follow up. I had this one, this is my favorite story. I had this one, I met her at a networking event, and she was a coach. All kinds of stuff. It'll give it away who it is, but but then the next day she followed up with me, and she followed up with me on LinkedIn, which was totally fine. She sent me a DM, and her note to me was, I'd love to get together and talk to you to see how I can help your clients.
Very cold.
It's cold, but it's also, you should have heard no. That's the only thing you should have heard. No.
And I was like, wait, you don't even want to help me? You just want to help my clients?
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, it's in the art of the follow-up to be human and be like, hey, I did listen to you. I think that listening is a skill that we really lack, because in this world, the only thing people want is to be seen, and listening is the only way to do that. And so when you're networking or meeting somebody, the art of listening to them without judgment is the way for them to feel seen, and then they feel connected to you, and then they want to work with you.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's kind of the art of it. And it that follows through into the follow-up as well. You know, like listening that first time to them be able to follow up with something that they go, oh yeah, that's right, we did talk about that. Wow, I can't believe she remembered that.
Yes. Or even sharing a tool that you learned or a tip or something, a walk away from the conference you go to, like that one thing. You know, I really heard this. I'd love to hear what you took away. Maybe we can do a conference debrief together or something. Or how can I, my signature, now I'm going to give myself away, is how can I be a positive resource for you? What do you need? Like I was mind blown yesterday. I went on a lunch date with Salenta Fox, where we had probably 2 hours of girl gossip. It was fabulous, all the things. And at the end, she goes, so what can I do for you? Excuse me? Well, and then you're like, you know, so it makes an impact, because also what we're telling you is like 10 years into business. So you're kind of getting this initial Jedi induction to this other level that you're going to get a lot of the higher tier, more established people, because you're going to be playing their game.
Yeah.
So. Well, we are we're having too much fun here. We're 36 minutes in, which is super fun, but let's just see. Final thoughts, Michelle, thoughts, comments, feedback, or final question.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for you.
Me too.
So just to kind of, just a little bit on what everything you said, I've been eating it up. I have those popple those little Popple QR code things. I have one for my wrist and I have one that's going to be on a lanyard, and I have each of them going to their own place. So one goes to a Facebook group that's for badass ladies in GIS. The other one is my LinkedIn, just my LinkedIn, if they don't get the card. So there's certain people who I know are getting the card because I have 500 of them and I have 400 Toblerones. So we'll figure that out. But most people are going to get to go to my LinkedIn account, but I do have that Facebook group for people who I want to push into a special area container just for the ladies who are just a badass at whatever they do.
Yep. Yeah. And to be honest, like, I know for me, having a Facebook group is like having an email list. It's a captive audience to really grow relationships and engage with people. And that's really the best marketing you'll ever have. I mean, you can do all kinds of marketing on social media and in trade magazines and all of that stuff, but relationship building for anybody, whatever business you're in, is always going to be your best marketing.
I don't think you could have teed that up any better. So Diana Sabatino, who is one of the managing directors for eWomen Network, shares, I always try and take a picture with the yeses, giving me something to send them, remember them, and our conversation bot, also to set up a follow-up appointment. So maybe let's leverage that idea and everything that we just said. Why not take photos, a selfie with the yes people, then you can send that to them with the link to the Facebook group. I don't want to discourage you from just automatically, like, in the moment, if it feels right. This is another last thing I'll say. Networking is kind of like dating. If I walked into, when I saw you at the NLA conference, at the brunch, at the smoothie bar, if I walked in there and I was like, hey, want to marry me? You'd be like, who the hell is this? Right? It's a little forward. Or if I would have been like, hey, Michelle, I don't know, something creepy. You'd be like, oh, let's go take a selfie. And you're like, I don't even know who the hell this girl is. Like, what is she talking about? It's a little forward. So in the conversations though, like after we had our good conversation after the smoothie, then if you asked me to get into the Facebook group, I would have been ready. So on the ones that are right, do it. But I would almost maybe wait until you get home with the picture Diana recommended and then send them into the Facebook group. It's just an extra date in between. Hi, my name's Michelle to will you marry me?
I like that.
Just
I like that a lot.
And you do want to date and woo your people, like customer. This is on the branding side. Your customer experience, your customer journey is what we call it, brand jargon. It's how you treat your people matters. They're going to remember. She says softer, building a relationship. It's much softer. So they're going to remember how you made them feel, how you interacted with them, surprise gifts that you give them. All my clients get a surprise gift that is apparently no longer a surprise when they onboard with me. There's also a huge gift that they get at the end, a compilation of our project together, and everyone is different. That stuff matters. So watch when you're doing your QR codes that you're not just being a salesy weirdo. I'm so sorry.
No, that's perfect. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, and you'll know in the moment the ones you can.
Definitely.
You know, like it's a kind of feel thing too while you're standing there actually talking to somebody.
Yeah. And own it. That's the last thing I'm going to say is own your authority, which we're learning in our community, but own not that you've been in business for 2 months, but that you've been doing this for 6 years. Yeah. You're a badass at it. You know exactly how to teach the right person how to get through this program. And you are on a Jedi mission to find those people. And anybody else is like, I don't know, one of those little hairy things in the movie. I don't speak this. So
an Ewok.
An Ewok.
An Ewok. Even I knew that.
I was thinking that or like Cousin It. And I was like, if I say that, that's like Adam's Family, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm still blonde on one side of my head.
I love your hair too. It looks amazing.
Thank you. It's going to be an interesting moment. Anyways, so I think what we will do with respect to you, Michelle, is we're going to kick you off and finish off this show. But thank you so much for volunteering to be our first hot seater. We really want to hear an update of what happens after. Like seriously, we do. We're not just saying that. We do. Yeah. Tell us how everything goes, and then you're probably going to have more questions for us. So circle back, and maybe we can help you out there too.
Wonderful. Sure. Thank you, ladies.
Right. It was great to meet you. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
first hot seater. Yay.
She's awesome.
She's awesome. I love, I'm so impressed with her symbolism.
Yeah. Like to be that new in business and to already like be honed in on that. Like
And
that's
get it.
really
And that's
impressive.
that is one of the hardest things I do is coming up with the concept or the theme behind the business. Girl, she just like walks in the door with it and is like, here it is. And I'm like, okay, like I know exactly how to dress up to go to her business parties. I know exactly what type of gift to give her when I say like happy new business, like baby shower, but a business shower. I know exactly kind of her approach to business now that she explained it to me, the whole Jedi breakdown. Like now I'm like, okay, so this is what I'm dealing with. I'm not dealing with an Ewok. Is that how you say that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna school myself. Shoot. I'm gonna have so many, is it Star Wars haters at me?
Yes.
Damn. Someone is gonna send me like a lightsaber and be like, anywho. So we want to end we can make this an hour. Do we want to do a recap? How have you been? Everything okay?
I mean, yeah, I'm having one of those business days where I'm just very overwhelmed.
At least we're being honest with everybody because damn, those things happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is kind of perfect timing to even be having this conversation because I think this is not something I think people talk about a lot.
Yeah,
when they
only if you're
business.
willing. This is not a sacrificial.
No, it is not. I've got 3, 4, like I've got 6 projects in the fire right now.
Nice.
And all of them, all of a sudden in the past week have like moved in a certain way that now is requiring me to do things. Yeah. And so today was one of those days that I ended up with a 10 a.m. call, an 11 a.m. call that then went too long for an hour and a half. And then this one, not that this is a bad thing, because I love this. This is my favorite one of the whole day. But it's one of those days where you go, okay, I'm on so many calls and I need to be on them. But now everything that we talked about on those calls, I don't have time to work on it.
Right. Right. And so how do you, with all of your experience, how do you kind of like regroup after that? Because obviously that's anxiety, that's stressful, that's like, oh my God, how do I do all the things? Do you pull an all-nighter? Do you tell them reasonable, like I can do that for you, I can get that back to you by first thing next week? Like what's your way of dealing with that when you get that lump on you?
I have to, for me, sit down and prioritize myself first.
Fair.
Before then I can even communicate that to anybody else. Right. So like probably the thing I'll do after this call is sit down and go, okay, what are the things that I have to do this afternoon before I go to Zumba at 5:30? Because that's a non-negotiable. I'm going to go dance the stress out for sure this afternoon. And like knock those things out. And really, I probably will try and find also the things that are really only like 5-minute stuff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Get them off the list. Yeah. And then regroup then tomorrow in the morning with fresh set of eyes and go, okay, now where can I shuffle things around that actually can be done next week versus have to be done today? Right. And I mean, I have gotten really good with people on timelines of stuff. It took me a very long time to do that when people ask me for things and I used to I can get that done. It'll take me 5 minutes. I'll get it taken care of this afternoon. And I don't do that anymore. Right. Like I don't even really give people a time frame of when I'm going to get back to them. Yeah. If I do, it's like, maybe next week or by the end of the week, I make it, keep it as really your business loose. Bestie and lifetime bestie and all the things. I want to remind you because you're a me and so many of us and so many people watching need to remember this. We have superhuman ambition and human capacity. Exactly. So even as you're looking at the, like, what do I have to get done today? Whatever you decide, cut that in half. Because let's be honest. And then also one thing that you could do maybe as an item of today is just a follow-up email saying, hey, I've heard we need this, this, and this based on my project load at the moment. I am capable of getting that to you by this time, and stagger the results based on who needs what first. So if somebody gave you something today, but you're like, that could be literally 2 weeks out,
they're going to be fine as long as you communicate it, which I
Yeah.
know you're going to do. I'm just saying that for everybody else launching. because-
Yeah. Well, and too, I mean, you bring up a good point too. I used to be in that mode of like, that'll take me 5 minutes to do.
Oh
And
yeah.
then
And it's
then
always
I
like
start
a
it
half
and
hour.
it's like an hour later and I'm like, this shouldn't have taken me that long. You know, I'm
Yeah,
like,
and to buffer
and
that,
just-
you know? Yeah.
yeah,
buffer
I
yourself.
I underestimate how long it takes me to do things all the time.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
it's a constant. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years and it's still a problem.
It's still a thing. I know. I'm so at fault on that. I got to tell you about my Friday pileups. But first, Michelle says, "Heart, you are superhero." So thank you, Michelle. It was lovely to have you on today. It was super fun, and I love that I can see the comments almost in real time. I'm sure there's a delay, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, my problem is Friday pileups, and I usually have my assistants meet with me for 2 hours on Fridays because it's like, oh yeah, I had it all planned. Like I was going to do this, this, and this. And you know, my hardest challenge that I'm working with right now is that I get energy zapped by projects because I care so much and I'm so passionate and they knock me out. Like literally, I'll have to go take a nap so my brain can kind of connect all the dots that just happened. And that takes time. And then what I thought I was going to get done in the afternoon gets pushed.
Yep.
And oh my God, what gets pushed to the pileup on Friday. Now, here's the thing. I always get what has to be done, but there's a lot of those time blocked nice to haves that just don't get done. So I'm trying to be more mindful, like you said, of what takes up 5 minutes. And I just accept that everything takes at least a half hour. If it doesn't, then great, I get more time back. But like, oh my God. So thank you for sharing that, because I feel like we all need to talk about the reality of business, that this is what it's like when you get a full book of business, what everybody wants. Well, guys, it's like, have you ever seen it like Starbucks or worked in retail? It's like the store will be quiet for hours. The grocery store is a great example. No one's in there. And then all of a sudden, everybody and their cousin
5:30. Yeah.
And the line is like 15 minutes long.
I was kind of like 3 weeks ago, I was like, am I like really don't have much to do, or am I just forgetting everything I need to do because I was so like wide open? And now I'm like, fuck me.
I can attest, because I remember being on that call with you. She did say this and she's saying this now. So
like, I
literally remember you saying that, like, I have nothing to do. And I was like, how do you have nothing to do? And I remember this, I literally being like, I thought she had clients, like what's going on? But this is the whole like Christmas rush or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, all of the projects that I'm working on they're just so there's steps and there's other people involved, and like and it's not even, it's client projects, but like one of them is like a tap room. And so we've been working on the investor deck for weeks, you know, and you kind of get through that and you look at it here and there. And then all of a sudden now this week we have, you know, a space that we need to figure out, is this a space we're going to rent? Right. Like, so it's kind of like things happen that all of a sudden. And now you're like, oh crap, last week I didn't have to do anything for this. And now this thing happened, which is amazing and great. Now we have to figure out.
I totally feel that. I feel that kind of at like approval time. Like when you're building the projects, everything's good. But then once you get the approval, I have it right now on a client, we got the approval of the logo, which doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but that goes on the website, on the business cards, on the print material, on the gifts she doesn't know about. Like now I got to go order all this stuff. And it's like, da, 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 da.
Yeah, it's like go time now. All of a sudden,
and now
you
it's
have this one piece.
And we even stagger them. We even bring them on at certain times so that it won't happen. And then sure enough, it's like something is in the air. The only thing I can think of is that it's July, which is the start of Q3. So maybe there's some people that are like, okay, we got a new quarter, you know, they kind of fade out at the end of that 90-day hustle. And, you know, now people are like back in action. So I don't know, but I wish you a good day. I'm just I'm sending you tea vibes and good juju, and you'll be totally fine, but it's also annoying. So
like, I mean,
call me if you want to vent and bitch about it. I'm here.
It doesn't have any other choice but then to be fine. You know, like there's no other option.
Well, remind everybody who you are, your business, what you do, and then we will hop off.
So I'm Ronii Bartles, and I am a business strategist. And what do I have to say?
I was just you know what, you're good, girl, you're good. let me do this for you. She is a business strategist, marketing expert, and the person that you want behind the scenes on the crazy days, because look at her. She gets it done. She handles it. Even if you stress her the hell out, she will handle it.
Yeah, that's true.
And everybody, I'm Ashley Rhoda, my company's Iconic Details. I am the brand strategist of this brilliant duo and just here to help make things look pretty. We'll leave it at that, but really to help you find your iconic details.
Yeah.
So we'll hop off. Again, remember, every Thursday now we're going to be going live. There may be a few times that we can't, but typically expect us 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 1 Eastern Time.
Yes.
EST, whatever
Eastern
Standard Time.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.